SK Vibemaker.
SK Vibemaker. My interviews are hotter, and you know we bring through the best special guests. We are not changing tradition anytime soon. Today we got East London Jeshi in the building. How about that?
Yes, what's going on, bro? How you doing?
I'm doing all right. Thank you very much for coming down, man. Congratulations on the debut album. A stellar piece of work.
Thank you, bro.
You know what I'm saying? Universal Credit is the name of the album. You know what I'm saying? Not a project, an album. You know what I'm saying? A lot of artists these days be saying, "It's my project, this is my mixtape," but it sounds like an album. I feel like they're scared. But you've said this is my debut album.
They are scared. Yeah. But I think loads of people are scared. I used to be scared. I think people are so afraid to say the word album because they don't want to, like, I don't know, it's got this connotation like if it don't come out and sell like 1 million copies or whatever, then it's like it's not deemed successful. But it's like that's not what successful is.
The expectation.
Yeah, I think it's just a weird thing. I think, like, especially nowadays, like labels and managers and stuff to kind of dictate when people do an album. It's not necessarily when artists are ready, it's when they're told that they should.
Real talk.
Which I'm not with that.
So how would you know what I'm saying, your name's bubbling, people are talking about you, you've been active for the last few years, debut album just came out, a few EPs as well. How would you break down your musical journey thus far?
I think it's really just like a thing of like exploration and like finding myself. I mean, it's kind of just like as I've gotten older over the years, kind of like my taste has expanded a lot more. I think the things I take in vary a lot more, and I think that kind of like shows in the music, and I've just got a way better idea now of like what it is I want to say and what it is I want to do. I think for a long time it was kind of just like making stuff and like it was fun and but now there's like so much intention in everything I'm doing, so I think that would sum up the journey.
Straight up. I think a lot of people might call you an alternative rapper. I mean, and a lot of artists get called that, rappers in particular, when they're not making the common sound. They're not making the trap sound, the drill sound, the gangster sound, or like maybe even in the UK, the kind of Afro bashment sound. I don't think you fit into any of those categories. Are you kind of cool with being identified as an alternative rapper?
I mean, I don't like it, but I don't really care if I'm completely honest. I think like the whole idea of that's kind of silly. It's like it's more based on content actually than like, because even if I made a drill song today, people still wouldn't call me a drill artist because what I'm talking about isn't that.
The content.
Yeah, it's all about the content, which I think if we're going to define like genres by content, that doesn't really make sense. That's not how you define genres. It's rap at the end of the day. I do the same stuff that everyone else does. I'm talking about my own experience, which doesn't line up with what everyone else is talking about. So it's deemed as alternative.
Straight up.
Which, that's fine. I mean, people can call it what they want to call it. If you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. So that's on them. I think sometimes you fight a losing battle trying to dictate what people box you in as. They're always going to box you into something.
For the record, man, like, let's just put it on record for the pronunciation, because I've heard people say your names. I know how to say it.
Yeah.
I've heard people say it so many different ways, man. Just kind of clarify that.
Right, it's just Jeshi. I mean, it's quite funny how the name come about, man. I was like, I wanted to use my name, which is Jeshi, but I didn't. Obviously, you need it to be unique enough for people to be able to find it. So I just started slapping it in Google Translate to try and find like a different spelling. And I thought it sounded funny. It sounds like you got a lisp or something. I don't know. And when I done it, I thought maybe it's hard for people to say, but I thought like, yeah, that's good. Like, just you should have to work for it.
Straight up. So let's talk about the song 3210 or 3210 sometimes, how you call it. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's another thing that's funny. It's 3210, obviously, like the phone, but everyone, like, I do mad things all the time. It's like called 3210 or like, but. Yeah, I don't know. If I went around correcting everyone's pronunciation of things, I'd never have time to do anything.
I mean, if we were doing that for each other, man, we'd be just talking about things trivially all the time.
Yeah, it's like, who cares,
you know
man?
Who cares about that stuff? Cool. So let's talk about the song, man. I feel like let's decipher it, because to be honest, I feel like your rhyme style and your rhyme patterns aren't the most basic.
Yeah.
People have lazy ears these days as well, but you know, we're here talking. Just decipher it for the people, them, if they don't understand what you're talking about in this song.
Yeah, so I mean, it was kind of like, I made it in lockdown. I'm like young and I go out probably more than the average person. And it was a little bit like just nostalgic about that, like kind of like reminiscing on like nights out and like, especially kind of like things going wrong on them a little bit. Nothing like too serious, but just like them nights where just like feels like everything goes wrong a little bit. And just like referencing like, I don't know, I just went through this pattern of like referencing like old phones and little things, because I think that the production and everything just made me feel nostalgic, and I wanted to kind of like give a little bit of that back. Yeah, I guess that's the best way to explain it.
To all those who know, man, some people might not even know the reference to Nokia 3210.
Yeah, which is actually a little bit older than I was even having phones, to be completely honest. It was like the Sony Ericsson thing, and then like, because that's really what I came up on, like Sony Ericsson Walkmans and stuff. But yeah, I don't know. It just felt fitting, and I thought it kind of got it across because just the phone model is super iconic. So,
and I feel like when anyone who watches your videos, they will see that they are quite conceptual. They're not your everyday run of the mill type music videos. And the 3210 video, I think it's got the photos on the floor. The photos are moving, and you're cycling along. And I feel like it was, and it's mad arty.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying, mad. Just different.
Yeah.
Kind of off the wall.
Yeah.
Did you have much of an input into the direction of the video?
Yeah, I have full input. So like all my videos, it will like be me and the directors like kind of like talking, going back to back on the ideas. And the thing is, I don't know, like I have this conversation with a lot of people, and like people talk about like the videos and they're so good. I don't think they're actually like insanely crazy. I just think that like most people don't care. Like most people's videos are like, it's like kind of give the director a song, let them do everything, like just stand outside, spit, whatever, which is cool. And like I like that sometimes, like it feels good, but I don't know. I just think like if you're someone who cares about the music and you put a lot of energy into that, then I think that should be mirrored in like videos, artwork, everything. It's like why let it fall short at that? So I don't know. And also it's just a thing of like collaboration, just finding the best people to work with is something that I think I'm quite good at, like picking out the best directors and stuff like that who I can trust to deliver something that's sick.
Now, we kind of already spoke about you maybe being deemed an alternate rapper.
Yeah.
Maybe you don't really care about that. You know what I'm saying? Because you're not doing the run of the mill, the most common thing. But at the same time, I'd say you're kind of bucking trends a little bit as well. I don't know if that's on purpose. Like your sound isn't the regular sound.
Yeah.
And that can be a pro and a con.
Yeah.
At the same time, you're doing something different. People are like, what's that?
Yeah.
At the same time, people want to get with something that's different. You know what I'm saying? So how is it for you bucking the trends, whether on purpose or not on purpose, doing something that is different to most of the other UK MCs?
Yeah. I mean, it's completely intentional at the end of the day. Like, I'm not interested in anything fast. Like, I'm in this for the long run, and I think nothing quick is worth doing. People might not clock on right now. It might not explode on TikTok tomorrow. That's not what this is for. You know, I'm doing this so, you know, in 10, 15 years, I look back and I'm like, you know what, I did everything my way. I did everything the way I wanted it to do. And I think that will have nothing but like a positive effect for things going forward. I don't know. I just think like artists owe it to themselves to kind of like challenge stuff a little bit.
Push the boundaries.
Yeah, push the boundaries. Like if there's someone already doing something, you don't need me to do it. It's already being done.
Yeah, straight up.
I'm trying to occupy a space that other people aren't. I think that's way more impactful.
A lot of MCs, a lot of artists in general don't think like that. Obviously, they want to kind of piggyback off something that's already popping. That's the reason why a lot of artists run with formulas. You know what I'm saying? So that's the reason why artists do that. You're just not interested in that.
I think it depends what you're doing this for. Like, you know, if you're doing this for money, you should do that, because I think it's a way quicker way.
You're saying you're rich already, yeah?
No, but it's just not what I do it for. Like, if I wanted to make money, I wouldn't make music. Like, there's loads of things you can do in this world to make much more money in a much easier way than this.
Yeah, for real.
Like, I do it because I care about this is my life, and like I want to push things forward, and I want to make money doing that, but that's not the primary goal. So yeah, that's what leads me to make this kind of music.
So you kind of mentioned just there about, you know, that your music might not pop off on TikTok the day after. It might not go viral.
Yeah.
Now, a big conversation I've been having with a lot of artists is the numbers conversation. The numbers are very much promoted by the artists sometimes, the managers, the label, the PR, the digital streaming platforms themselves. And they will lead you to believe that when a song's doing big numbers, that it's better than the songs that are doing the lesser numbers, and even the best thing since sliced bread. Now, how do you feel about the correlation between songs that have big numbers on the DSPs, the YouTube or whatever, versus songs that don't have too much of a big numbers game?
Mean, it's an interesting thing. I think about this a lot. The funny thing is, a lot of the time, the songs with big numbers ain't even really big. They just you just think they're big because the numbers are good. But like a lot of this stuff, like a lot of the plays are just from playlists, and that doesn't mean necessarily anyone even chose to listen to the songs or likes the songs. They're just being pushed in everyone's faces, and the plays are going up. But I mean, there's a load of people with a load of plays who can't sell out a show. They can't sell a T-shirt. They can't sell a vinyl.
Crazy.
No one cares. Which is whatever. But I think it's just like what artists need to stop doing is obsessing about numbers. But it's hard because like you have all these apps like Spotify for artists and whatever, and it shows you how much plays you're getting all the time. And I think that's information artists don't really need. You know, like back in the day when you're selling records or whatever, or selling CDs, obviously you're going to get like, after a while they're going to say, oh, you sold this much, but it's not like you ain't got an app on your phone to constantly know how many have I sold in the last hour. I think like too much information for anyone like that is not really good. Yeah, I just try and not worry about them too much. Like, as long as like, you know, I go to shows and kids buy tickets, and you know, you can connect with them in real life, and people talk about how much how much the stuff means to them. That's kind of what keeps me good. The numbers is whatever, man.
Universal Credit is the name of the debut album.
Yes.
The title of the album might suggest many things to many people.
Yep.
We've just come through the pandemic. A lot of people were struggling. They definitely needed some help from the government.
Yep.
You know, some type of handouts.
Yep.
Break down the concept of your debut album being called Universal Credit and what it means to you, what you're trying to paint to the people that listen to this album.
So I mean, initially it was just kind of inspired by being broke and being on Universal Credit. That was like the inception of the idea, and really wanting to make something that is, I don't know, just felt really real, and was kind of like digging a little bit deeper into like who I am and what I have going on, and talking about the things that maybe you don't always feel proud to talk about. Talking about the things that a lot of the time people are embarrassed to talk about. So I went down that train of thought, and what really made me laugh is, you know, like in the pandemic, everyone essentially was on benefits, but like I've grown up around that, and I remember the attitude that people really have towards, you know, people on benefits and stuff like that. It's this whole thing of like, why don't you just get a job? But like lazy this, lazy that, benefit months.
It's definitely looked down upon.
It's looked down upon, and I hate that, because it's like you don't know people's situation. So to sit on the outside and say, oh, why don't you just go and get a job, is like insane. You don't know, like there's a million reasons why people can't do that, or why it's not that easy. Just like in the pandemic, there was reasons, whatever, but it's the same thing. So yeah, I don't know. It was kind of like highlighting that, but trying to do it in like a funny way. That's why like on the check, on the front of the cover, I put like the small amount of money they give you every month on like a massive check, because it's kind of like making a statement about the way people perceive the amount of money that people get. People act like they're millionaires. It's like they're going to Ibiza every week and driving around in Lambos when they're getting 300 quid a month. That does nothing.
For real.
So yeah, that was kind of the inspiration.
Crazy. A lot of working class themes throughout the album as well.
Yeah.
Was that easy for you to put? I would imagine that a lot of these are personal, you know, experiences. Was it easy for you to put like a lot of those working class elements of your life into the album for everybody to hear? Yeah,
it was super easy actually, because like it's just my truth. So I don't have to try. I think once you let go of, once you become self-aware of like what it is you're saying in songs, which a lot of the time you're not. A lot of the time people are just saying things, and you fall into these things, these patterns of just like you're just saying things, but you're not actually really saying anything. Like for me, it's important that when people come away from listening to this album or from anything I'm doing, I want them to feel like they know me, or at least know me a lot more than they did before they listened to it. You know, I listen to a lot of people, and it's like I haven't learned nothing about you from any of this, which, as I said, for some people's fine. For me, I like artists when like I really can kind of strike up that connection through their music. So yeah, it wasn't hard. I think like it's once you let go of the fear of like, oh my god, like what if this ain't accepted? Like I don't care, man. This is like who I am, and like with everything, like take it or leave it. Like I don't. It's cool.
Talk to me about, you know, where you grew up. I know you was like, was it that you was Newham is where you kind of was?
No, so I was like born in Newham general, but like that's no like significance to me. Like really, Walthamstow is like, that's like where I spent my whole life, like childhood and stuff, which I love. I love Walthamstow. It's like changed a bit now, but like I think it's like a sick place. Yeah, I live in like Bow now, but still east.
Bow is like
next to Vicky Park, which I like. You know, go for a little walk. I like it. Like I'm on Roman Road, which is like the perfect thing of like gentrified.
I mean, it's rich music history around there. Roman Road is where. What's the record shop that's on Roman Road, man? I can't believe that I've forgotten the name of the record shop. Maximum used to work in there as well. But
mad.
Yeah, it's a big,
big
record
lot
shop.
of like UK history around there, so it's cool.
Yeah, and obviously Bo, like a lot of grime originated from
there,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Wiley, Tinchy Strider, Dizzy Rascal.
Yeah, it's mad now, because like when I'm around there, it's like you see all these rows that I just remember hearing on songs when I was like young and stuff. Like, so yeah, it's funny.
I mean, did you have any kind of, was there a young grime MC in you? Did you listen to much grime?
Yeah, that's what I was listening to when I was young, man. Like I was from like, when I was like 11, like all I listened to was like grime for like a few years. I was like making it with my friends, and Yeah, I mean, it's super impactful. It's like, I think what really made me excited about music is like, obviously when I was younger, I used to like music, but it's different when you're listening to people who are from where you're from. It feels, I don't know, just I think like every young person at that time, you felt like a part of that thing that was going on, which I think geared me up. I think like probably I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing necessarily if it wasn't for that influence when I was younger. Yeah.
So let's talk about Sick, which to me is a standout track off the debut album.
I love that
Universal
song.
Credit, you know what I'm saying? Now, there's some lines that stuck with me, man, but I'm sick of the small talk, cab driver, just drive.
Yeah.
The line was something like that.
Yeah.
I find that so funny, man, because all of us have got into a cab and the cab driver, Uber, he's just talking. And you're like, listen, man, I just want to listen
and it's
to my
nothing
music.
against him. Like, he's not doing it in a bad way. And what that song's talking about the most is like sometimes like, I don't know, like after you've had a late night or something, you're getting in a cab at like 5 a.m. and like you are not feeling good for whatever reason, and like the driver, obviously to them it's like good morning, like I've just started working, you ain't gone to sleep yet, and it's like that's the worst time for them to be talkative. But yeah, just in general, I think it's like a line people relate with because people's always got in the cab and wish the cab driver wouldn't talk.
Now another line
shout
was,
out all the cab drivers.
There was another line where you said, I'm sick of seeing these colours when I close my eyes. You know what I'm saying? Nah, that could be a deeper problem in life. I mean, have you overcome that issue or that problem? Was that like a true issue?
Yeah, I think it's more so kind of what that whole song's talking about is just like that the thing that like a lot of people do, especially like young people my age and stuff, like, you know, you go out every weekend and like you say like, oh no, I'm not doing this no more, and it's just that repetitive cycle. And like I guess that thing is just like when you get in sleep in the morning or whatever, and like trying to go to sleep and closing your eyes and seeing colours for whatever reason.
Yeah. Your brain is still racing.
Brain is racing. But no, in general, no, I sleep pretty easy to be honest on a normal day.
I mean, are you a turn up god?
No, not really.
Are you really about that turn up?
No, not really. I think just like because of, you know, especially now, like I don't have that structure. Like I don't have a job. I'm just like making music and stuff, and like it goes through times. Like sometimes when I'm like feeling super proud and happy with how things are going, like I tend to have a little bit more fun. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's about balance. For me, it's about like enjoying life, but never letting anything impede on like what it is that I'm really here to do and what I care about, which it never does.
I mean, you should really be proud of this debut album, man. Universal Credit. I feel like there's a lot of artists that come out with their debut album, and like we kind of said before, they don't want to call it an album. No. They say it's a mixtape. You've said this is your album, and it's a stellar, strong piece of work. It's a conceptual project. I mean, it's very lyrical. It's musical. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of rewind material on there. I mean, what more can you ask for, man? I mean, maybe some people might say there's not a club banger on there, which I've discussed about recently.
But then you listen to the wrong persons. If that's what you're looking for, then you need to go somewhere else.
Do you feel like that?
Yeah, I'm
do you know what? Do you know what the argument is though? The reason why we've had.
I mean,
this
to be
argument,
fair, I think Protein low-key is a club banger. So I'm gonna take that one back. But I think that like, if you're coming into my world and you want to listen to what I'm doing, then you're gonna have to just take it for what I'm giving you. I'm not pandering to what people want, and yeah, I think that's cool. I mean, like that's the thing with this album. It's like I made it as an album. A lot of the time, people do albums and it's like a load of songs they got and they throw them together. Like by the time any of the songs came out, I'd already like sequenced everything that was in the album. I'd worked so long on like the skits and transitions between everything, and was like super like critical with like what would go on there. There's a load of stuff that was cool that didn't go on there just because like, I don't know, I'm not interested in making like a 25 song album. Like I want it to be like concise and just like strong. So yeah, shout out, my next one's gonna be just club bangers only.
So you know, before we go into like the sequencing of your album, which I respect what you just broke down there, the reason why I've been debating a lot recently with certain MCs, rappers, or maybe just amongst like DJs about albums that come out from rappers that don't have a club banger or an obvious club banger or many club bangers, is because if we think about it, the elements of hip hop was about that. The b-boying, the graffiti, the club. And obviously the MC. So like when an album comes out nowadays, and maybe it's got like, you know, in excess of sometimes 12, 14, could have 18 songs on there, and we're struggling to find the club banger. The DJs, the fundamentals, we're like, what's going on? Kind of thing. So that's the argument for me.
But that's the thing. I think just the dynamics of music has changed so much. That used to be the place people listen to music. Nowadays, so much people listen to music don't even go to a club. Like people are at home listening to stuff. You know, you look at like, even in rap, you look at like, oh, it's like, I don't know, like Earl Sweatshirt. He's never had a club banger ever. There's no club banger you can find of him, but he be selling out like 5,000 cap venues in London, because people want to hear what people have to say. And I think there's this whole world that's opened up more for that, of like people who aren't necessarily making club bangers, who you're not, you may not hear like, I mean, I'm not going to say not here because they play me on Radio 1, so yeah, maybe or not here, wherever. But yeah, I think there is an argument for like artists who are much more like, okay, like I'm going to sit down and listen to this. But yeah, I think it's like, I think just it's sick now because there's like there's so much different spaces that people can occupy. Yeah, it's cool.
So we're going through references, and like on National Lottery, there was definitely a lyric where you said, I used to tear my room apart listening to Limp Bizkit or something like that. I love Limp Bizkit. So let's talk about your musical references, because today you're wearing a Aphex Twin,
yeah,
like t-shirt. You know what I'm saying? You're referencing Limp Bizkit.
Yep.
We already spoke about, you know, you used to listen to Grime when you was younger, obviously living in Bow, which is the home of Grime and stuff. So talk to us about who you were listening to, the artists that inspired you. I feel like we're going to get a bit of a mix here. No pressure though.
So I don't know. I mean, like some of the early stuff when I was young, it was like I was listening to like Grime and like then like UK rap a lot, like a lot of Mash Town and a lot of gigs. And then the problem is sometimes when you're young and you're in that world, it's very much like this conformist thing of like what you're supposed to be listening to and what's weird to be listening to. And any time you listen to something that not everyone else is listening to, it's like, this is weird. And it's like, so by the time I got to like 16, 17, I was so hungry to just find everything that I found good. I mean, I saw like this Lana Del Rey song on TV one day, and I just thought it was so sick because it was like the beat sounded like a rap beat, but she was singing and like the video just looked mad. And I was like, whoa, this is crazy. And then found like a load of like Tori Mohan music, who's this guy who I still like a lot now. And then I don't know, like even like lately I'm just like always trying to push myself to find things that maybe I haven't heard before. Like a couple years ago I got into Pink Floyd for the first time, and like I'd listen to that every day. I'm just like, this is insane. So I don't know, I just try and like genres I don't really care about. Whatever kind of music it is, if it's the best at what it is, then I like it. And I think that's probably why like with my music it kind of like bounces around these places, because like my reference points do vary quite a lot. Like even on a day-to-day basis, I just like the stuff I listen to just jumps around. So
straight.
Yeah.
Well, let's get a bit personal, man. Like not too personal, but like anyone who looks at you, they might be trying to think like maybe you're racially ambiguous. They don't know where like you're from. You know what I'm saying? Like, is there a mixed race thing? Like where your parents are from? Like put it on record, man.
I'm just mixed race, Jamaican, English, Irish. Mom like half English, half Irish. My dad's Jamaican, so pretty standard like London mix, you know.
Yeah. You say that though, like. You're saying it's pretty standard to people that don't have that mix. They might be like, that's not standard. But bottom line is you're mixed race, and there is a mix between black and white. So with that mixed race identity, they can be somewhat of a identity issue sometimes, or people of mixed race heritage, and there's a lot to sort of navigate through growing up. There might be a side of the family that you feel that you're more integrated with. There might be a side of the family that maybe doesn't want to integrate with you or accept you much. So how was it for you growing up mixed race?
I mean, I never had that problem because I don't know my dad or know no one from that side of my family. So for me, it's just me and my mom's side. So yeah.
Your mom's the Jamaican side?
Mom's white. Mom's English and Irish. So yeah, it was just like I had a very small family, like my mom, my sisters, my nan. That's it pretty much.
So you didn't grow up with any of your Caribbean side of the family?
Never.
Straight. So how did you find sort of tapping into that, you know, heritage or that culture?
It's cool. I mean, like I grew up with loads of people from the same kind of background, so I think like that was kind of like the way that I experienced it more. Yeah, I mean, it was cool. It was cool.
Simple as that.
Yeah.
Right. So, Universal Credit is the name of the debut album. If someone hasn't pressed play on it yet, what would you tell them that they should expect from this album?
Yo, you should expect 13 club bangers. I'm joking. I don't know. You should just expect the unexpected. Just expect something that sounds new, and expect a real introduction into my world. I think is the biggest thing. That's what I wanted people to take away from it. I want you to kind of like, it's like a journey through like, I guess, my head and my life a little bit. So yeah. What
are the long-term ambitions of Jeshi, man, over the next, like, let's say 5 to 10 years? What do you hope to achieve as a musician?
Well, the thing is, for me, I have no interest being like underground or niche or alternative or any of this stuff. Like, I want to make the best, most forward-thinking music and do it on the biggest stage possible. So I'm trying to be like Glasgow, Pyramid Stage, big set, Sunday night. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really see no limits to what I'm doing going. I think like for me, this really feels like the beginning. Like I know I've done stuff before, but I feel like in making this project, it's almost like I hit like this mental reset. I feel like a new person now. So there is no limits.
Listen, man, the future is looking very bright. SK Vibemaker. My interviews are hotter. I've had a great conversation today with,
yes,
of course, Jeshi in the building, man.
Big up, man. Thank you so much for taking the time out to speak to me, man. It's always like, it's one thing that I'm always appreciative of, that like people just want to chat to me about what I'm doing, man. Like I never take that for granted ever.
It's good music, man. Keep up the good work, man.
Big up, man.
SK Vibemaker.